The Celts believed the sacred waters could reveal all the world's mysteries. Now, what if we were to tell you that modern science might just back this up? Here at the Brythonic Pantheon, we delve deep not only to bring you the facts, but to give you insights that can only be discovered through a deeper spiritual understanding of nature-based belief systems. So, let's begin. So, spring, a time of renewal, new beginnings, and looking ahead to what the new year will bring. And what better time to explore the Celtic spiritual association with water and their belief that within it one could see all the mysteries of life, including the past, the present, and the future. Why was water so central to their belief system, and why was it held in such high regard? What is this long-hidden secret of the Celtic sacred waters? Today, we're going to reveal an understanding that many have yet to piece together, even though the answer has been in plain sight and staring them in the face all along. Quite literally. Why was water sacred to the Celts, and why did they believe it held the answers to all the mysteries of the world they lived in? To start on our journey, let's go right back to the very beginning, because it wasn't only the Celts that saw water as sacred. When man first stared into the waters and saw his reflection looking back at him, he saw not just his reflection, but something that was mysterious and mystical, perhaps even a glimpse into the world of the gods. The water continually moved, changed, and seemed to hold visions of things that were far deeper than appeared on its surface. It's understandable then that they came to believe the images it provided wasn't just a reflection of the light. Like their predecessors, the Celts too saw something mystical about the waters, and perhaps they were actually onto something in which science is just now beginning to shed light upon, the details of which we'll dig into just a little later. The Celtic relationship with water was one of the fundamental cornerstones at the core of their belief system. The rivers we know through linguistic and narrative sources were seen as personifications of, and in some cases may even have been seen as physical incarnations of their goddesses. The deep water wells from which they drew their water led downwards towards the underworld and were seen as portals in which they could seek wisdom and knowledge from the ancestors. The lakes, and in particular the bogs, were seen very much as boundaries and entries to the other world, a place where they could make offerings to the gods and be sure that they would receive them. Many sites reveal clear evidence of these ritual offerings. One such place is Llyn Cerrig on the Isle of Ynys more commonly known as the Isle of Anglesey, off the north coast of Wales. And there, over 150 metal objects dating from 300 BC to 100 CE were found at this site, and amongst the finds were weapons such as sword spearheads and shield fragments, chariot fittings, harnesses, and decorative pieces, blacksmithing tools, slave chains, and even cauldrons. These items had been deliberately broken before being cast into the water, and this is a clear sign that these were not careless losses, but deliberate ritual offerings. But the question arises, why was water so sacred? And what is this hidden Celtic secret? Well, this requires a little understanding of Celtic cosmology before we can quite answer that question. The Celts believed that the material world in which they lived was just one of many. And as we've told our subscribers many times before, there was the upper world, the world of inspiration and enlightenment, the middle world, the world of the material, and the underworld, the world of the ancestors, wisdom and knowledge. They also believed that the material world was a creation of the other worlds. The spirit world was where all things that were and were yet to come to pass would first be imagined and brought into existence before being created into the material world. This belief was fundamental to their understanding of life and the cosmology of the universe, and it made complete sense to them. Just as seeds must first be planted and nurtured before they take root and grow, then so too must the seeds be planted and nurtured in the spirit world before they take shape in physical reality. So that's the spirit world covered, but what does this have to do with water? Well, it's really more to do with the reflections rather than the water itself. Just like their earlier ancestors, they didn't have a firm grasp on the physics of light. Water to them didn't show reflections, but it was seen more as if looking through a window where they could see directly into the spirit world and interact with its inner workings. They believed that the water showed the very boundary where this world and spirit worlds would meet. The closer to the surface, then the closer to the boundary. But what lay deep were things yet to come, or maybe what had already been. The art lay in the interpretation of the shadows and the light that bounced within the reflections to understand the truth of what, in their mind, had already been written. So the water wasn't just showing them reflections of their own physical world. It was a portal and a window that looked directly into the spirit world, and what they saw were the visions of the world that was to be. And of course, any changes they could make or influences they could assert on the spirit world would also soon reflect in reality, making an understanding of the arts of working within these portals a very important and powerful tool, the knowledge of which was kept to just a few. So, could there be any truth in any of this here in a modern world enlightened by science? Could there actually be anything to this idea of glimpsing into another reality? Well, perhaps, and maybe. Certainly something to think about, and some food for thought here. In science and the world of the very, very small, reality is not as fixed as we assume. Subatomic particles exist in a state of probability, only taking on a definite physical form once observed. Now, those paying attention may draw interesting parallels between this and the Celtic understanding that everything first exists in a spiritual, intangible domain before manifesting into a physical reality. So, when we stare into the water, itself a fluid mass of subatomic particles, that in those reflections we may be able to see fleeting glimpses of something much deeper. If our minds are entangled with the quantum fabric of reality, if thought and perception play a role in collapsing possibilities into physical experience, then perhaps there is some truth to this idea. Could it be a glimpse into a world where time, space and probability all blur together? Could it be that when ancient people stared into the water, their minds tapped into a realm where past, present and future are not distinct but interwoven, a vision of the future yet in the making? Whether through quantum entanglement, the influence of perception, or the subconscious mind's ability to detect patterns beyond our conscious awareness, the act of gazing into the water may be more than just mysticism. It may be an intuitive grasp of something science is only just beginning to understand. To the ancients, reflections were more than just images. They were glimpses of a world beyond where the future was first written. A world that could be seen if only one knew how to look. Perhaps it's true, when we gaze into the water we aren't just seeing reflections of ourselves. We're seeing the potential of what is yet to come. This, of course, is dependent on just how deep you can look. So I hope you've all enjoyed our discussion today about the Celtic sacred waters. And if you have, as usual, don't forget the old thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're interested in this content and would like to see more. And with that, I'll see you again, or I'll see you all again very soon on the next one.